Well, it's finally here. Happy Subnautica 2 launch day, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. So I can't actually believe that it's finally here, that I've actually played it for a whole 24 hours. I know, crazy. I feel like I've been saying Subnautica 2's coming, Subnautica 2's close, it's just around the corner for so long now, so it feels really quite strange to actually have had my hands on it. I just wanted to talk about it. I just wanted to talk about the game. I'm not going to be talking spoilers in this video. I wanted this to be a kind of impressions, a vibe video, something you could watch if you're undecided about whether you wanted to buy the game or not, and to just give you my opinion on it. So in the spirit of full disclosure, Unknown Worlds did give me the game for free. That's how I've been able to play it before it came out, so I've actually got this amount of time in the game before it's available to everyone else to be able to do this video. I also did do a sponsored video for Unknown Worlds Entertainment recently talking about my journey with Subnautica, and if you don't know, those are the guys that make Subnautica 2, but they haven't stipulated in any way that I'm not allowed to talk about the game, so this is all my honest opinion about Subnautica 2. This is not a sponsored video in any way, shape or form. And let's be honest, I've been pretty much making Subnautica exclusive content for 3.5 years at this point, so I was definitely going to be buying this game on release day anyway, and I probably will buy another copy in the future. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, let's actually get into the game. Subnautica 2, is it fun? And I'm happy to say, yes, it is. It very much feels to me like Subnautica. I think the community will be happy with this. I mean, that's my impression. I haven't spoke to anybody else about it, obviously, because it's just been me and some other creators that are playing it, but I haven't really spoken to any of them. But I get the impression that people are going to like it. I feel like it does live up to the hype, in my opinion. It is very fun to play. It feels very much like an updated Subnautica. It actually makes me kind of wish they'd remaster Subnautica 1 in this engine, but we'll get into that a bit more later on. But if you just want to take one thing away from this video, do I think it's good? Yes, I do. But what about it do I think is good? So obviously the first thing I'm going to touch on is the graphics and the art style. I think the fact that they've used Unreal, I was a little bit worried about to start with, because I thought, how is this actually going to run? You know, we've had some quite high profile disasters with Unreal Engine, and we all know it kind of runs really badly, but I'm happy to say it runs pretty good. You get the odd stutter every now and again, but nothing that really takes away from the gameplay in a significant way. Of course, this could just be my rig. I would hope not, considering I should have the ultimate YouTuber rig that can record anything, but I was a little bit worried going into it if I was going to be able to record the game at a high enough fidelity and at a good enough frame rate, just because we know how Unreal Engine is. But I have to say, I've recorded my entire playthrough while also running my recording software, and you know, the stuttering was pretty minor, to be honest. I do expect at this stage that there's going to be performance issues with early access, but to be honest, it's pretty good. It's not flawless, but it's pretty good. I've also heard through the grapevine that they supposedly have a dedicated performance team, so things should only really get better from here. Obviously, I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard, so take that with a grain of salt. But in terms of maintaining Subnautica's art style, I think they've actually done a really, really good job. The world looks really nice. There's obviously a lot of familiar items. I'll just name one, the beacon. The beacon is back. Might be a weird one to pick out, but that one really stood out to me, probably because it's a reoccurring item. But they've really managed to maintain Subnautica's feel, its authenticity, its vibe, while also making it look better, basically. Like, if you compare Subnautica 1 to this, it's night and day, the difference in fidelity and quality. One thing that really stood out to me is just how nice things look at night. I know I've said multiple times in videos before that I really like how Subnautica 1's safe shallows look at night with all the glowing bright colors in the dark environment, and they've done an amazing job at that in this game. All the colors really pop, the vibrancy is lovely, especially at night. Everything looks great. I can't quite decide if I prefer daytime or nighttime. Probably daytime because it's easier to explore, but the nighttime does look really nice. I'm also happy to say they've managed to keep the atmosphere of the original game. Now, I played this game solo. I didn't play it with anybody else, but I remember when they first announced that they were going to have this game be co-op, I was a little bit worried that the original Subnautica magic might get lost in all of that, but I'm happy to say I didn't feel like I was playing a multiplayer game with a story tacked on. It definitely felt like a story game with a multiplayer, because obviously I was playing this solo, so if I was going to experience issues like that, I would imagine I would have ran into them pretty quick, but it didn't feel like that. So if you're going into this wanting to play it co-op, then I think all power to you. I think you'll probably have just as much fun, but for you guys out there who want to play it solo like me, that's the way I want to play it, I think you'll be pleased. I think they have managed to maintain that atmosphere, that vibe, that Subnautica magic, so I definitely wouldn't have any concerns buying this as a solo player. So leading on from that atmosphere discussion, I kind of wanted to talk about the music. So the music in this game, again, is really, really good. It's been done by Ben Prutney, which I believe is the same guy guy that did the music for Below Zero, and it definitely feels Subnautica, feels very of that vibe. They've got a lot of those tense tracks in there for when you're diving into the deep unknown, and they've got those bubbly light tracks for when you're up at the surface. It's just generally really, really good music. I was listening to it and I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to put that in some of my videos. If you haven't noticed, I try to put lots of upbeat music in my videos, and I kind of struggled using a lot of the Subnautica 1 soundtrack as backing music, which is really bizarre considering I run a Subnautica YouTube channel, but you often hear abandoned ship and things like that, but not many of like the ambient tracks, because they don't have enough punch for me, you know, in my video making. But I think some of these have got a lot more energy, so you might see a few of those in my newer videos. In terms of how the game plays, I think it's quite smooth, it's quite fluid. Again, it feels like an updated Subnautica. You know, there's nothing here that's going to completely blow your socks off. There's nothing here that goes, that feels really bad. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, you know, it feels smooth, it feels nice. Now, there's probably some mechanics that could use a little bit of work. I'm not sure. This might be a bit of a controversial opinion. I'm not sure. I suppose we'll see as time goes on. I didn't use too many of the bio mods. I'm not going to say what they are. You know, I don't want to spoil that for anybody, but I only used 2 of them in my entire playthrough when there's probably, I don't know, about 10 or so in total, or maybe a little bit more than that. So I didn't really feel the need to go and mess around with them. I did, after I beat the game, go and, you know, find them and see what they were, and none of them were like, oh, that would have completely changed the way I played. So maybe there's some work to be done there in terms of making those a bit more unique, but hey, I'm not a game designer. I have no idea how hard that might be. But having said that, as I've already said in this video, the game is still really, really fun. It's really enjoyable. It's just one of those elements that maybe could do with a bit more time in the oven, which I suppose is exactly what early access is for, after all. Saying that though, they have done a really good job with the building mechanics. The bases feel really nice. I will say I am looking forward to when we get those round base designs from the classic Subnautica, but honestly, the building system is so much better than Subnautica 1s and Below Zeros. It's not even a comparison. It all just looks so clean and so nice. It's just great. And of course, touching on the whole early access thing, there are plenty of bugs in the game. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a day 1 patch. I assume there probably will be, because what game doesn't have a day 1 patch these days? But there were plenty of bugs that I ran into, and obviously in a preview build that's completely expected, in an early access that's completely expected. Nothing there really completely derailed my experience. You know, there's just weird things, you know, like switching the batteries around in my tools. I would go to take the battery out of one and put it in another because I needed to cycle how much energy I had, and the battery would go straight back into the one I'd already taken it out of. So nothing really game breaking that's going to ruin your experience, but sometimes things are just slightly annoying or slightly funny. So before I kind of go into summing up my thoughts on the game, I did want to talk briefly about the story, not on the story itself, but just how much of it there is. So the game took me, I think, about 13 hours to beat, 12 to 13 hours. I did get lost. I mean, that's totally expected for Subnautica after all. So you could probably beat it way quicker. You know, once on a repeat playthrough, you could go a lot faster. But there was a lot more story here than I was actually expecting, and I was happy with it. It's pretty good. There is actually an ending for the story. It's not the ending of the actual game. It's kind of like an ending for early access, kind of like a pause, if you will. I don't know how much more we're going to get. I mean, maybe we'll get 24 hours of story. You know, maybe we'll get double what we get now. Maybe we'll get triple if we're really lucky, but that might just be me being greedy. But the game's story in its current state ends in a place where you go, oh, I want to know more. You know, you want to see what comes next. You're not just like, oh, it abruptly ends here. Like there is kind of an ending. It's not, obviously it's not the full ending to the game, but there is, you know, there's a satisfying conclusion is the best way I can put it. So I suppose we finally come to the question, how good do I think the game is overall, especially compared to the first 2 games, and do I think it's worth buying? So I'm pretty confident in saying I think this game is a lot better than Below Zero. It's just flat out better in every way. I don't think it's any comparison whatsoever, but Subnautica 1, that's where you have a more close run discussion. So I'm not going to come out and say it's better than Subnautica 1. I'm also not going to say it's worse though either. I feel like they're about even, which is probably quite high praise considering how much Subnautica 1 is loved by everybody generally. For me, I feel like they're about on even pegging, but obviously this game is still in early access, so if you ask me, is the potential there for this to surpass the original Subnautica? Bizarrely, I think I would say yes, actually. I think this has the capacity to be better than the original. We don't see many sequels that are better than the original, and I'm not going to say it is right now. It's close. It's real close, and maybe I'm completely out of left field with this. Maybe everyone else is going to get it and go, I don't know what you're talking about, but for me, it feels so good. It looks so good. It feels like Subnautica. Subnautica, and, you know, okay, it's not the original Subnautica, that's always going to have a bit of nostalgia behind it, but hell, it's really good and it's really close. Of course, it's not finished, of course, there's going to be bugs, but I'm going to be honest, it feels a lot more polished than I was expecting. I don't know if maybe the extra time in the oven really let them polish it up and really get it to shine, but it feels a lot better than I thought it would. So now we come to the ultimate question. Do I think you should buy Subnautica 2 right now? And honestly, it kind of depends on you. On the one hand, the game feels really good. I think it's value for money. It plays amazingly. If you're a big Subnautica fan, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in playing it right now. But on the flip side, of course, it's early access, so you're getting an unfinished product. Obviously, the game is only going to get better from here, and if you're the kind of person that wants to play it once, play it to the end, then you might want to wait. You know, it just depends. Can you wait, the 2 or 3 years or however long it will be for the game to be finished? Personally, my recommendation would be this. Because it's in early access right now, it is a cheaper price than it's ever going to be in the future. And we also know that Unknown Worlds get their bonus if we buy the game within a certain amount of time. So if you're a big Subnautica fan, I would get the game right now, even if you're not going to play it, because then you can get the cheaper price, you get to support the devs, and then if you want to then not play it and kind of black it out from your memory for the next 2 or 3 years and then come back and play it in one go, I don't think there would be anything wrong with that. I think doing it that way is kind of the best of both worlds. Then you have the option to kind of do whatever it is you feel like. If you get the itch, I really want to play it now, then you can do it, and if you really want to be part of that early access experience, you want to be there during the development and give them the feedback, then you can do that too. So that would be my recommendation. So yeah, I think they've done a really good job. I'm excited to see where the franchise goes from here, how Subnautica 2 develops, and honestly, I'm just really excited to make some more videos. It's been a long time since I've been this excited to make lore and talk about Subnautica in this kind of way, and honestly, I'm really excited and looking forward to what comes next. So now it's your turn. You've had the chance to play the game. What do you think about it? Am I completely out of my mind, or do you also think it's pretty good? Leave a comment down below and let me know. And I look forward to seeing you in my next Subnautica 2 video. And special thanks to my patrons, Mathijs, Baron Windy, Immortal, and Cubmix for making this video possible.